The concept of the different waves of feminism was a way to somewhat organize and separate the emerging women's rights movement from the past ones. The different waves gave women new opportunities to share their voices and speak up on different topics and issues happening in our world. The first wave began around 1848 and ended around 1920. The first wave began with a convention organized by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucia Mott held at Seneca Falls, New York. The goal of the first movement was for women to gain voting rights. However, this only affected white women. Women of color still had to face this obstacle until the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Discussions about the vote and women's participation in politics lead to an examination of the differences between men and women and how they were then viewed. The second movement began around 1963 and lasted till about the 1980s. This wave was mainly focused on the fact that women were chafing against the confines of their roles as wives and mothers. It was inspired by the civil rights movement and the protests against the Vietnam War. Some people wanted a re-evaluation of the traditional gender roles in society and an end to discrimination. The idea of feminism or women's liberation had gained a lot of political force in the 1970s. Some of the higher points in this movement would be the Equal Pay Act and the Supreme Court decisions related to reproductive freedom. The third movement began around the 1990s and is technically still going. This one mainly focused on the problems we had from previous waves and other problems such as sexual harassment in the workplace and shortages of women in powerful job positions. The third wave has ambiguity and refusal to think in terms of us-them. It was like many mini-movements in one because again it covered a lot more than the previous two. The fourth wave is basically a continuation of the third wave. However, the thing which this movement was mainly based on is the #MeToo movement. This movement also made it a way of holding powerful men accountable for their actions. This fourth wave is a combination of the second wave and third. Because it's a continuation of the third wave but is almost like an expanded version of the second wave.